Well, it's no secret that, Ruben's contract ends at the end of the season. Pat Gillick reaffirmed on Monday after the press conference that Ruben will be the GM through the season, as long as Pat's in charge. But, there's no guarantees for him, obviously, after that, in terms of his GM post. Typically when a new president comes in, you would think they want their own guy there. That no one really dropped any hints yesterday, including Andy McPhail, which is to be expected. But Andy McPhail is going to get the next 3 months to watch how Pat and Ruben operate. And, you never know. I mean, obviously, it's probably unlikely that Ruben would be back, but you never know. And he, at the very least, he's the GM through the next 3 months, and this coming month, which starts tomorrow, is a crucial one for the organization. So him and Pat will be in charge of the trade deadline with some input from McPhail and others in the organization as well.
And you mentioned with the July 31st trade deadline, it is crucial, could be one of the most crucial trade deadlines in franchise history, or at least over the last 30-something odd years, because the success or failures, as you wrote, really contends on the fact that, hey, if they trade Cole Hamels, what are they getting back for him? And this is where people have a differing opinion on Ruben Amaro Jr., where he's made some good trades, he's made some bad trades. I think he's always paid too much money for certain free agents, and it's kind of backfired. I mean, you go back a couple of years, just look at the Marlon Byrd deal. So a lot of fans don't have trust in Ruben. Now, you said something interesting. Ruben and Pat will have the say when it comes to trades. Everyone believes that it's really going to be Pat Gillick. Are you buying into that?
Yeah, I mean, Pat Gillick ultimately has the final call. He's the team president. He holds the keys to the organization until the season ends and Andy McPhail takes over. So, end of the day, if he has to sign off on the deal. So, Pat and Ruben have talked about this extensively, how they're both kind of all-inclusive guys when it comes to making these deals and talking about these deals in the organization. And there's going to be a lot of different voices heard in the room when it comes down to it on July 30th, July 31st, before they make the decision. And even though Andy McPhail's not officially taking over until after the year, you have to think he's going to offer his input too. He said yesterday he's never shy to offer his opinion. So,
is there any concern that he's been somewhat out of the game? Look, great background, but they brought up the sabermetrics early, maybe a little old school way of thinking. And if they're looking to win now, if they're trying to rebuild, well, they're not going to win now, but rebuild now and have a bright future, even, say, 2-3 years down the road, replenish the farm system, start winning some baseball, bringing the fans back. Is there any concern with a guy who, by his own admission, might be a little rusty, so to speak, and was shocked and surprised that he's the hire?
Well, I think there might be a little bit of a learning curve. I think he was just being modest when he said he was surprised or shocked. But, there's certainly going to be a learning curve, and I think that's kind of why they did it now. Andy McPhail said that when he was first approached in late December, early January, they had always said all along they wanted it to be a mid to late June type of hire, and so you figure they had this kind of grace period in mind where he can kind of get back into it. But you're right. I mean, he has been out of the game for a few years. A few of the big trades he made that kind of built up the Orioles, you probably couldn't make today. I mean, teams are so reluctant to give away any position player prospects because, pitching's so dominant that runs are hard to come by, that you probably couldn't get Adam Jones in the trade, or you probably couldn't get Chris Davis in the trade. So, he's going to have to be, more creative. But he's also been in baseball for so long that he's seen the game evolve, and it goes in cycles. And because of his background, I think he'll be able to catch on pretty quickly.
1:15 on a Tuesday on 97.3 FM ESPN. This is the warm-up. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2. Jay Kaplan does a great job covering the Phils. The Inquirer, Philly.com, joins us for a couple moments. Who would be, and again, you hate to talk about a guy while he still has a job, but let's go on the premise that after the season, the Phillies release Ruben Amaro Jr., they fire him, and they move past that, and they're trying to now target other GMs, other prospects out there for the GM position. Who are some of the names that you're hearing, those that you've spoken to around the Phillies or baseball? Because I know they're not going to give you too much information because Ruben's still on the book, so to speak. But any names that pop out that stand out?
Right, like you said, it's kind of a tough line to cross there because, Ruben is the GM for at least the next few months, and he still has, some big days ahead of him as the Phillies GM this season. But, it's hard to say because Andy McPhail has been out of the game for a few years, but he does know a lot of people in baseball. He's obviously been around a long time. And so there's obvious names that people kind of throw around. The big one that you hear a lot is Matt Klentak, who was his protege in Baltimore, a young guy who's now with the Angels. And then there's a few other names that people kind of toss around. I heard one person suggested to me John Barr, who has local ties.
Sure.
Is the assistant GM with the Giants.
Audubon guy, yep.
Yep, Audubon guy still lives in Haddonfield in the off season. But it's I don't even know if Andy McPhail. I'm sure he said yesterday he doesn't have a hidden list of candidates right now. I'm sure he has ideas, but he hasn't really gotten into the thick of what he he said he kind of has to learn about the organization to see what he wants in a GM, really, because he still has to kind of figure out what their plan is going to be and exactly how they're going to execute it. So, everyone loves to throw out the names of who the next guy is going to be, but it's a little early in that respect. But some of those names I outlined were probably ones to at least keep an eye on as we get closer to October.
Two more quickies for you, and again, appreciate a couple moments. I want to go back to Ryne Sandberg and when he announced his resignation on Friday. Pretty emotional. Just got tired, according to him, tired of the losing. And look, people in the media, we all like to throw different theories around this and that. That's what we do for fodder. But I'm just curious. I want to get your take on it. Is there any chance that obviously the Phils were talking to McPhail for a while now, and they probably went up to Ryne Sandberg. This is me. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If they said to him, "Listen, we're making a direction. We're bringing in some new leadership. We don't know what the future is going to hold for Ruben Amaro Jr. After this year, but we're probably going to look in another direction as a manager. It's just not working out. We're going to give you an opportunity. Finish out the season. We're going to let you go. Or, hey, if you're not on board with this, let us know, and you can resign. You can resign ASAP and just walk away." I mean, do you buy into any of that?
No, I don't. I don't think that's how you do business. I don't think you tell someone, "Hey, you can finish up the year, but you're gone at the end of the year." I just don't think that's how it works. And also, if you look at the faces of Pat Gillick and Ruben Amaro and how they talked, I mean, I think they were legitimately shocked by Sandberg's resignation. It's tough. It's tough to know what all went into his decision, but obviously he was tired of the losing, and he probably, there was a lot of speculation in the media, and he probably hears, as much as he said he was just focused on that day's game. He probably hears it, and there was probably a good chance he wasn't going to make it through to next season. I think he probably would have, finished the year, and then Andy McPhail would have, made his own hire. But he probably saw the writing on the wall, and just like you said, he didn't really want to get in the way of it. And I don't think there was anything said to him like, "Hey, you're not coming back." I just think he probably kind of read into it. What he wanted to.
Was it just a bad fit? I mean, he seemed overwhelmed. I mean, it's hard when you were a great player to come back and manage. It would have been a lot tougher. He tried to do it with the Cubs after having a Hall of Fame career, but he comes back to Philly, a team that drafted him. I'm just wondering, was his message being lost on the players? And quite frankly, let's be honest too, the guys they were running out every night, these are not perennial all-stars, so it makes it that much more harder to do your job.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone could have really won with this team, with this roster they put forth on opening day. It's hard to say. At times it felt like maybe the players weren't really buying in, but it's hard to really know. Obviously, like you said, the roster in itself, you're expected to lose a lot of games with that roster, and so it's hard to know if, I guess we didn't expect them to be as bad as they were at times, but at times he did look overmatched. I've heard that, but it was his first job, and I don't know if he wants to get back in and try again somewhere. he worked pretty hard to get to that point. Wasn't handed a great deck in the team he had. But, it's not everyone's a big league manager at the same time. So who knows? I'm not saying he is or isn't, but obviously it didn't work out for him in his first gig here in Philadelphia.
Got about 30 seconds. Last one for you. Who's going to manage his team the rest of the year?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. They said there'll be an announcement by Thursday. It could be Pete Buchanan, who's the interim right now. They've only kind of guaranteed him through the homestand. It sounded like they had to get him to agree to do it. So
that's not good.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough job, but
hey, I know.
if he wants to do it, maybe they'll let him do the rest of the year, and then they would hire a permanent guy in the off season. But whoever it is is going to be an interim. So the off season, that'll be another big storyline to watch, is who their next manager is.